Here we have your standard diameter 430 centimeter mast. Basically the only thing you want to make sure here is that this connection, which is the joint that joins the two halves of the mast, is completely closed, and that you don't leave a gap in there, because otherwise you can cause the mast to break. First thing I'm going to do is insert the mast into the luff sleeve. It takes a little bit of effort because the luff of the sail where the mast goes in is curved and the mast is straight. So at the end here, because, here, come on down here. We're using a 430 centimeter mast, and the luff sleeve, or the length of the entire sail, is 421 to 424 centimeters. So we're going to have an adjustable head cap, so we'll use up that extra 9 centimeters, which is the difference between the length of the mast and what the sail requires, by adjusting the head cap 9 centimeters off the top. So I'm just going to push the mast out through the top and place the head cap on the sail. So in this scenario, again, we're using a mast that's actually longer than the sail, so we're not going to be required to use any of the mast extension. So we'll have it set all the way down as far as it'll go. I'm going to place that into the end of the mast, making sure it's properly seated. Now I'm going to use the downhaul line to fully downhaul the sail. This is where all of your tuning comes in on these sails. It's all in how much pressure we put at the foot of the sail. So in order to keep the lines from working against each other, I'm going to go the same route each time. I'm going to go up from underneath through the grommet at the bottom of the sail, and then I'm going to go up from underneath on the pulley. I'm going to repeat that process. Nasty feet on. Until I've used all of the pulleys. Up through the grommet from underneath one more time. And then down into the jam cleat. You'll notice that we have no crisscrosses in here. We have a nice straight so that none of the ropes are working against each other, causing friction, because there is a fair amount of pressure that's required to downhaul the sail fully, which I will do now. It's best to do your downhaul all in one motion if you can, because as you're pulling, you're going to increase the amount of friction on the lines. So I'm going to wrap the rope around my hands or use a downhaul tool. Place my foot up against the base, and sort of in a rowing motion, I'm going to pull and then also push out with my foot. So that I've brought the line all the way down to the end. And maximum setting. And as you can see, where that looseness is in the sail is right now hitting that minimum setting. If I were to add some more downhaul, bend the mast, and that crease now is at the maximum setting. So the higher the wind, the more downhaul. Effectively decreasing the sail's usable surface area so that in higher winds it's more stable. That's right, you can't look through. As you can see, basically the sail has taken on its full shape as though it were rigged. We're just going to put the boom on with very little outhaul tension, this being the outhaul right here. We're going to again go back to our specifications on the sail. The boom is calling for 167 to 170 centimeters. This particular boom goes from 129 to 191 centimeters. So we will open it up. Let's see, 170, 130, it's about 41. So we'll go to 42 and a half, because that's our given length. So now we're set at about 171, and we'll see how that sets. Always use these numbers as a guideline. It's not a rule, because the conditions are constantly changing. You ready? So I will place the boom onto the mast. And then I'm going to open up the clamp on the head of the boom here. Nice and wide. I always like to use my hand inside to open that up, to give myself a little bit of space in there. And I'll drop the boom on. And there's this one little line that could be a little bit of a bugger to get through. I'm going to open the clamp as wide as it'll go. I'm going to place this on the ears. You'll see I'm having a little bit of difficulty, so I'm going to give myself a little bit more room by allowing this rope to slide out a little bit more. Now it easily fits over the top, and I'm going to close the clamp. Now you can see it's pretty wiggly and loose. We want it nice and tight, so I'm going to shorten up this rope. Close the clamp again. Feels a little bit tighter, but still not nice and snug. I'm going to pull a little bit more. Now it's nice and tight. And now to the tail section of the boom. As you can see in the back here, there's an awful lot of ways that you could set this thing up. I go for the simplest, just tying an overhand knot in the end of the line. Through the grommet on the sail. Go around the ears on the end of the boom. Through the grommet on the end of the sail again. And then to the cleat. Okay. So now I'm just going to pull it nice and tight. Let's see how my sail looks. Now you're never going to know until you get to the beach and you're actually sailing how the boom, what the boom length should be. But in general, if I press down on the sweet spot of the sail, which is generally where your harness lines are going to go, it should stay off, just off the boom. You don't want the sail wrapping at all on the boom at all, because it distorts the shape of the sail. If it does, and you find that it is wrapping on the boom, you can come out to the tail, add a little bit more, and the sail will stay nicely off the boom when it's under power. Again, you're going to have to check this when you're sailing or by holding it up in the wind to see how it feels. Feels like it doesn't have a lot of power. You can back off on this a little bit, again, just so that it stays off the boom under full power. For neatness sake, and just so it doesn't fall out of that cleat, I do like to go back through this whole area and tie a couple of half hitches. That way I know this part of the rig is secure, because losing that under sail is not a good idea. And now we're ready to sail.